This is going to be a quick video showing you guys how to remove and reinstall the whole distributor unit on an R50 platform, Pathfinder or Infiniti Qx4. Alright, so the first thing you need to do is, makes it a little bit easier, is you remove your distributor cap, put it out of the way. Easy way to tell if you're on top dead center, which is what we're going to need to do before we remove this, is make sure that the rotor is actually pointing towards the number one spark plug hole. And if your cap is labeled, you'll find that the number one is right there. If you put it on the car, you'll see it's usually this one right here. So you're going to want to make sure that the rotor is pointing towards the number one spark plug, and that'll be a second way to verify that you're in top dead center. And by putting your vehicle in top dead center, you can kind of peek down here, which is going to be extremely difficult for me to get my hand in there. Let's see if I can. I can't pull it off. Let's see if I can just zoom in. I'll be right back. Alright, you can see those markings on the pulley there. The very first one on the left is going to be 5 degrees before top dead center. Second one is going to be top dead center, and the one in front of the second one is going to be 5 degrees. Advanced ignition timing. So what you want to do is you want to crank your main engine pulley clockwise till you line up the second marking to the little arrow, black arrow tab that is located. Let me see if I can get my camera in here. You can't really see it, but right on top of the pulley there's an arrow. You want to line up your second marking with the arrow that's right up on top of here. Sometimes it's covered in grease, hard to see, but there is a little arrow and you can see the tip of it right there. So you want to go ahead and line up those marks by manually turning your engine. It's a pain in the butt because there's a bunch of stuff in the way in this engine, but once you set that, you can go ahead and remove your distributor. Another way to tell is this will be facing the number one spark plug, and that'll be a double reference. So you want to make sure that this is facing the number one spark plug when those lines line up. If not, you're going to be on the return stroke and you're going to have to do a whole full rotation to line it up. I don't know if you guys can see it, but move the contrast up with the brightness on my camera. You can see the little white lines down there. You want to make sure that the little triangle tab, as I get my hand in there, you want to make sure that this triangle tab pointy part is lining up with the second line, which is top dead center. This would be after top dead center, and these are going to be before top dead center. So before you take your distributor off, you want to make sure that you're at top dead center and that roughly your fucking rotor is pointing towards cylinder 1. And once you've acquired that, you can go ahead and remove the nut that's down there, right there, and then you can twist this out ever so slightly. Keep in mind that this is going to move because it's a spline drive gear that's in the bottom, so it's going to move. But just remember, whichever way it moves, you're going to want to position your new distributor in such a way so when it slides back in, it falls back into the number one position. Very important. Alright, so you guys can see when I lift up the distributor, I don't know if you guys can see, but this is moving towards me. Watch. I don't want to yank it out, but you see that? You see that? Okay, and when you drop it down, it goes to the right. So what you're going to want to do is open this up, position your rotor in such a way that when you drop it down, it's gonna slide right into the right. So you want to pivot to the left, so when you drop it in, it slides to the right automatically, putting it into place. Now imagine if you're off by a tooth, it's gonna be off by a lot. So like, there's no don't be too scared. Some people over what do you say, react when it comes to doing this. If you're off by a tooth, it's gonna be like that. You know what I mean? So if you're, as long as you're in the vicinity, you're there. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull this one out. You know what? Before that, I'm gonna crack open this new one. This is the original part. Original part went to like 200,000 miles. I went to fucking eBay, Chinaland, bought this one. Didn't last me like 4 months. I suspected it was defective due to the camshaft position sensor that is inside here. Basically, it was giving me random cylinder misfire. I'm gonna go ahead and yank this out, and I'm gonna install this new one in here that I just got yesterday. Alright, I've set up my rotor in such a way that when I slide it in, it should pivot to the right. Now, something that you guys want to kind of inspect before you guys go ahead and put on the new distributor. You'd be surprised. Quality control is never the best online, so you want to make sure that this bolt or this screw here is nicely fastened to the rotor. You'd be surprised how many people have had this rotor back out on them and this thing just free spinning and their engine won't turn on. Simple fix, just put some Loctite in there, you'll be all set. Let's go ahead and install this bad boy. Alright, I went ahead and pulled it out. You can see here that the little bottom of the rotor is lining up to the bottom corner of my camshaft position sensor. What the fuck? There's like a chicken out here. Okay, whatever. Basically the problem I had was I was getting a random cylinder misfire. It was shutting off my injectors. I went ahead and I switched out my injectors, and that I still had injectors shutting off on me after I had replaced the cap. So that's when I was figured that maybe the whole distributor cap new assembly was defective. I'm going with a more name brand part here, and hopefully that gets rid of my problem. What's happening is my car turns on, it runs fine when it's cold. Once it gets to operating temperature, it starts having a misfire. It's kind of down on power, and I've isolated the problem to an injector or to not firing. And it happens randomly. Sometimes it's this one, sometimes it's the one in the back, and then it's the original one. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace this, and if this is not the problem, it's gonna be my ECU. So fingers crossed, wish me luck. I'm gonna go ahead and install it. Let's go ahead and pivot it like so. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and put the phone down. So use both hands here. Okay, I felt the teeth grab. So once I slide it into place, you see how it pushed to the right? I think we're set. Yeah, give it a good jiggle. Okay, I think we are set. Go ahead and adjust that. And we'll be right back. Put the cap on and fire it up. Okay, I went in and installed it. And as you guys remember, the number one spark plug is right there. Number one. So the rotor should be facing the number one spark plug right under here. You see how it's there? Now that you've verified that you're on top dead center, at the bottom and with the rotor, you can go ahead and reassemble everything. You're gonna need a timing light, which I don't have, but I remember that on my original distributor I had about a 16th on this side and a 16th on that side. You can kind of see it here. So a new one, this one right here. Washer was, it's kind of already been oxidizing, but you can see the washer like almost towards the middle. Actually, I'm going to kick it a little bit more towards the right. But I'm going to check that. And make sure that you check up here, because all the vehicles vary from manufacturer. As you can see up here where it says 15 degrees before top dead center right here, 15 degrees before top dead center on ignition timing, and every one of those little marks that I've showed you down there is 5 degrees. So when you fire up your car and you put your lead on the spark plug and you put the other one on the battery and you start flashing your light down here, you're going to want to see the strobe light and the little arrow black tab should be always lining up when the strobe light hits to 15 degrees before top dead center, which is going to be like the 4th line over from the very first one. Other than that, guys, I'm going to charge my battery because my car's been sitting for a while, and let's see if she fires up. Alright, it's a little later in the day, and as you can see, the vehicle is running smoothly. There is no shake or misfire present. Now once the vehicle gets to operating temperature, you should see about 600 to about 750 RPM at idle. And if you see that, then you've set your timing close enough for you to be able to drive it to your local mechanic, or if you can go rent a tool and set it yourself. Thanks for watching. Alright, as you guys can see here, my RPM is around 750. I might have to do some slight adjustments, but other than that, my vehicle is no longer stalling and wanting to shut off once the engine reaches temperature. I got my park brake set, and I'm low on washer fluid. I'm gonna call it a wrap here.